Let's assume we are given a question. Find the 10% of 300. 10% of 300. So just bring out 300 and move one decimal place to the left. So to the left. And I stop here. So my answer is 30. What if you are given a question? 10% of 950. I didn't need to stress myself much. I just know that 950, I'll just take a decimal place to the left. So, and my answer is what? 95. So that's that for that. So let's look at another trick again, another shortcut. Shortcut number 2. If you're asked to find 5% of any number, 5% of any number, just take the 10%. So for example now, let's say you are told to find 5% of 950. 5% of 950. You and I know that in my previous example, 10% of 950 is 95. So definitely 5% of 950 will now be the half of 95. So what is the half of 95? So the half of 95 is 47.5. So it means that the 5% of 950 is 47.5. How? Because I know that 10% of 950 is automatically 95. So for me to get 5% of 950, I just need to divide 95 by 2 to give me 47.5. So that's how we solve for 5%. So just know at the back of your mind that 5% is the half of what you get when you found 10% of what of a certain number. So that's that for that. Now let's move on to the next trick. Then the next trick is, what is 1% of a number? 1% of a number is very, very simple. Just move 2% to the left. It's as simple as that. So what if you are asked to find 1% of 700? 1% of 700 is 7. Why? Because this, I'm moving it 2%, 1, 2 to the left. So what do we have? We have 7 here as our answer. Also, may be asked to find 1% of 300 or 1% of 300. So what is 1% of 300? Just take this 300 and move 2 decimal places to the left. 1, 2. So my answer is what? 3. So 1% of 300 is 3, and that goes on and on like that. So with this now, let's assume you are asked to find 7% of 300. I know that 1% of 300 is 3, so 7% of 300 is going to be what? 21. Just say 3 times 7, which is what? 21. Is that simple? So which means 1% of any number is just like a base point, a foundation that will scale you through when you're asked to find the percentage of other numbers. So how about 50%? 50% of a number, 50% of a number is just the half of that number. So let's assume you ask to find 50% of 100. So I know that half of 100 is 50, so my answer is 50. If you ask to find 50% of 90, I know that half of 90 is 45, so my answer is what? 45. So 50% of 90 is 45. Why? Because I know that 50% represents half. So I'll just divide 90 by half. Or sorry, I'll divide 90 by 2 or multiply 90 by half. That is just it. And I'll get my answer. 50% of 100, I know that 50% is same thing as saying half. So it's just like saying half of 100 or 100 divided by 2, and that is what? 50. So let's move on to the next trick. The next trick, that is the trick number 6. So what is 75% of a number? 75% can be replaced to be 75% is also known as 3/4. 75% is also known as 3/4. So it's just a matter of you multiplying 3/4 or 3 over 4 times the number that you are asked to what? To find the percentage of. So 75%, first of all, you're asked to find 75% of 120, 75% of 120. So what do you go? Just say 3 over 4, 3/4 of what? Of 120. And what is 3/4 of 120? That is what? 90. So 3/4 of 120 is 90. So that's how you solve for that of 75%. Oh, and I also skipped one, which is what? 25%. So if you're asked to find 25% of any number too, of let's say 80. Let's say you're asked to find 25% of 80. So what is 25%? 25% is also known, 25% can also be referred to as 1 over 4. That is, 25% also means 1 over 4. So what you just need to do is just say 1 over 4 times 80, which is what? 20. So that is 25% of 8. So at the end of the day, just imagine 25% to mean 1 over 4. Then 1 over 4 times 80 is what? Is 20. Or 1 over 4 times 80 is 20. So that is as simple as that. So we'll stop and we'll continue in our next video. I hope you enjoyed. Thanks for watching.